Welcome, everybody, to UFO Man Reloaded. Tonight, we're going to have a discussion about the Colares, Brazil UFO incident, which occurred back in 1977, which affected many villagers on the island and also affected the military that was sent there to investigate. We're going to introduce our panel. On the right is Polly Rotterman. She's an investigative journalist and a UFO researcher. She is also a co host of the UFO Man Reloaded channel.
Hi,
Jeremy
Holly.
from Geek Culture 101 is a guest panelist tonight. Please welcome him to the channel.
Hi, Jeremy.
Welcome,
Hey.
Jeremy.
Also down below is Maya Flock Sarah. She is a second co-host of UFO Man Reloaded. She is a UFO researcher and an all-around talent in helping me organize my live streams.
I do what I can.
She's awesome.
Right.
Uh,
So tonight, let's start out with um, some information. I have a short with Lou Elizondo explaining about Colares.
Brazil had its own Roswell event, which occurred back in 1977, known as the Colares incident. The locals, for a period of time, were tormented by what they allege as UAP coming down and even sucking the blood from some of the civilian population. In fact, Brazilian military and law enforcement were called in at the national level to investigate.
The Brazilian Air Force named their investigation Operation Saucer, which included over 500 photographs and 15 hours of film.
The doctors who responded to this incident all substantiated that there were people, both civilian and military, who sustained what appeared to be burns or lesions, possibly the type of damage a high-energy laser would do to human tissue.
And these South American encounters weren't just limited to Brazil.
When I spoke to authorities in Peru, in Argentina, in Chile, in Uruguay, I was absolutely floored by the sheer number of reports that seemed so eerily similar to that of Brazil and the Colares incident. Local indigenous people tormented by these UAP was a routine occurrence.
So this happened over a period of 4 months in 1977 over the island of Colares, and it covered many cities. Polly, can you add to that?
well, this incident is super interesting because we are talking about a long period of time where people were describing in Colares episodes where these orbs were kind of attacking them, hitting them with kind of um, some kind of laser or something. So lots of people have evidence in their bodies about these burns that happened because of the orbs. This is one of the most famous pictures. As you can see on her skin, she's got the mark when she was burned by the orb, and she is not the only one. So it's interesting because this phenomenon is been happening till today. If you research about the phenomenon in Brazil, people there describe it very much as demons. And it's very interesting because lately we heard also Vice President Vance talking about aliens being demons, and that's something I would like to touch too. I personally feel that we should make a difference between our personal beliefs, religious beliefs, and the nature of this phenomenon, because I don't think they are on the same dimensions, aliens and demons. And we should also be very careful with our personal religious beliefs. Actually, what happened in Colares is that this is kind of an island, and there was a military base in there, and there was a huge sighting. Dozens of orbs were seen hovering over the sea, so people on the base could see the orbs from the sea and the natives too on the island. So, one of my questions would be relating to this incident. Were these people really attacked by the orbs, or is there maybe a portal or some kind of technology that is going on under the sea that maybe the aliens are guarding it or watching on it, and they don't want us there for some reason, including the military base? So maybe these people were not attacked, but maybe we are talking about a wrong time, wrong place. Maybe it was they were just kind of defending something and they were firing all over, and the people were hurt. In the
Okay.
other hand, we were talking backstage about people that were complaining about being beaten and their blood being sucked. So that's something else. That should be related maybe to something else. I don't know. What's your thoughts, guys?
Actually, the reports came out that the beams, and this is reported from some of the villagers, that the beams that came down were green in nature, and within the green beam itself, there was a red beam that came down and touched the skin. And when it touched the skin, it made a puncture wound or two puncture wounds. It sucked some of their blood out of their body, and a lot of people fainted from loss of blood or passed out or whatever. But they felt it was intentional because one of the villagers testified to the fact that they were laying in bed. A beam came through the roof of her house and it touched on her leg and it was searching up her leg, the upper leg, and then up her belly to her arm, like it was looking for an appropriate site to puncture her and suck the blood out. Now, I do know that the villagers were also referring to the lights as chupa chupa, which
Yes.
means sucker sucker,
Sucker. Yeah.
which makes me wonder if that is the origin of the chupacabra story, because the
Could be.
chupacabra was known to suck blood from animals in villagers.
Well, because the word in Spanish, chupar, is sucking.
Right,
So whatever chupa something is something that is sucking something.
right. What I was
Yeah.
going to say is I have to say this. This is a quote from the book by Lou Elizondo entitled Imminent, from chapter 2, called Colares. Findings particularly harrowing. More than 300 animals found dead of unknown causes during this time. 34 citizens complained of irritated eyes, 5 reported temporary blindness, 8 reported a negative change in their vision, 41 complained of a prolonged period of nausea and sometimes vomiting. 55 individuals complained of extreme headaches. 46 people described feeling heat when the lights from the UAP hit them. 28 people felt a pocket of cold air. 18 people claimed they were abducted by the lights and experienced missing time. Some of these people were left far away from the original encounter and had no memory of arriving there. 14 people remained in a catatonic state for short periods. 54 suffered temporary paralysis somewhere in their body, and 36 people claimed chronic illnesses plagued them for years. Out of the remaining 34 people, 10 people died as the result from a UAP encounter, quote unquote, from Lou Elizondo's book, Imminent.
Wow.
Right.
So,
It kind of makes me wonder if maybe it was a like medical or scientific curiosity from these beings, and these burns and things were just side effects of their experiments. Like, we test with medications and different medical devices, and sometimes there's negative side effects, negative outcomes.
right.
Right. That's another theory that I was thinking about, and it's the possibility of these aliens taking samples,
Right.
not
Sam.
only from the civilians, but also from the soil or, in general. Kind of they were
Animals.
taking samples in a massive way, and as you are saying, Jeremy, these people were having the after effects, including maybe deaths, because as we heard in the also Brazilian case, that James Fox is investigating for years in
Right.
Virginia. Well, the case in Virginia, first of all, it's also in Brazil, but we have also people that died after touching the alien.
Yeah,
So
because of some type
maybe
of bacterial infection. Yep.
exactly. So maybe even in the laser that these people were burnt with, or there can be some kind of something that it can cause on our bodies, and after um, shock or an after effect that can even be lethal,
Right.
right?
Likely mechanisms of injury for this exposure is to radio frequency electromagnetic radiation, particularly ultra high frequency and microwave, with additional reports of autoimmune conditions, physical wounds, and psychological trauma. This was stated in regards to Colares by the
Yeah,
military.
oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought for a minute there. I was just gonna say, yeah, what's interesting too is where it was located in, in my opinion, there's a fishing village, right? It's not like there's in the jungles, and it's like they were specifically looking for something, or coming, uh, you know, there. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, and it's just surrounded by the water too. So like what Paul was saying, is there some type of like something that they were protecting there, or were they truly here to like just do scientific stuff, which ended up causing harm to the people? I don't know. It's very interesting to find out, but
I think
I think
it's.
it's interesting.
I
I think
agree with you,
specifically,
Sarah.
I think specifically it's interesting that they were indiscriminate about who they were taking too. It wasn't just like males or females or pregnant people or something like that. It was just anybody and everybody they could get, right?
Yeah, that's how it looks. Now, what's interesting about this is that, as usual, the government cleaned everything very fast. And as usual, people were told not to talk about whatever happened there. Now, I strongly recommend, if you have Netflix, George Knapp did an episode about the Colares incident in this series that I'm sorry, I just don't remember the name right now, but you will find it in Netflix by George Knapp. And well, turns out that the Brazilian government actually researched about what happened here for about 4 months.
Right.
And there is this Captain Hollanda.
Right.
Captain Hollanda was actually, well, the one that was in charge of, you know, he saw what happened. And as many of them, he was quiet for years. And finally, he did an interview in 1977 about what happened. And unfortunately, Captain Hollanda committed suicide after the interview.
Yeah, like 2 weeks
So,
later. Yep.
yeah.
But then,
So,
like always, it makes you wonder: did he really,
Or was it psychological trauma that caused him to do it?
or was he supposed to
well,
be?
remember also the neurosurgeon that allegedly was in the same room where the alien was taken in Virginia.
Yeah.
Well, he was having a hard time talking about it too for years. And he talked only about it before he died,
Right.
remember?
Right.
So I guess all of them went through a massive, huge event. The Colares event, people till today remember that event as a very frightening event,
Right.
not as
Exactly.
a nice event. So I think the trauma was huge and still is huge because this still happening, this still happening in Brazil,
And with no,
actually,
Right.
and
and with
not
no,
only in Brazil. This is going on all over. We've been seeing like these. I don't know if you saw the video of these politician in Mexico that saw these lights kind of climbing on the mountain in front of his property. So these orbs are moving all over. And there is another theory. As you know, we've been seeing these kind of fireballs all over the United States lately, you know?
Orange with a clear bubble around them. Yep. I've seen them a
Yes,
lot.
a lot. And there are articles about it all over. It happens all the time, every day. And it's kind of, a usual thing lately. So there has been lately a connection between that phenomenon, the orange orbs, because sometimes they are flying not like in a no matter way, kind of they are controlling their flight. So
Right.
are we talking about the same phenomenon in Colares?
I don't know because green fireballs were originally seen, and then they had orange, white, and other colors. Here are some pictures to indicate that. Oops. Here's a green one, greenish tint around the outside. Here are three. These are actual color shots of the actual craft. Here are two more shots. And here's a large one with the greenish blue tint around the outside. And then the famous pictures that everybody who knows about the Colares incident would be these, black and white. Now, close up of the black and white, on the left shows a beam going down from whatever is in the sky there. And on the right is like a little cigar craft. Oops. Then in this one, it looks like two discs, and discs were reported. I have drawings. This is one of a cylinder craft over Colares. This one was in the shape of a drum. And if you look at the drum picture, there are two beings at consoles. It seems that they are piloting this vehicle. That's
Right.
over Colares. This is another image that was sketched by a witness over Colares of a disc with a dome. This is another one over Colares that looks like, to me, it looks like a cork, upside down cork,
Yeah.
or maybe a space module almost, flying around haphazardly in the sky. But there are so many shapes and colors, so it's hard to tell what their presentation truly was and where they were coming from. Were they one group or several groups? Did they
Right.
just have several different models of craft that they were using? And it was one species? We don't know. We don't know if they were interdimensional or if they're from our galaxy. We do not know. But
But
we
the fact
presented,
that you know, all the drawings that you show, the fact that they look like actual crafts,
right,
which again makes me think about the fact that maybe they are hiding or holding something inside the sea that they
right,
don't want us to interfere with it. Maybe those orbs are kind of alien drones that are coming to defend, or I don't know, you know, it's so weird. It also reminds me, you know, the case that we had next to Santa Catalina Islands, where this craft, this tic tac, was seen
off
previous
the,
to the Nimitz
right,
incident. So these USOs are seen all over, you know, and
right,
maybe those orbs are kind of drones, or well, maybe they are biological, you know. I really don't know, because they really look like they think by themselves, or
right,
they are getting orders for something. But something is going on in that area that makes me feel they are watching on it. They don't want that military bases there, you know,
right. What do you
for some
think, Jeremy?
reason.
Yeah, I think, there's so many possibilities what it could be. One could even be their own government.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
could they have been experimenting on, these smaller places to see how it would affect in case they wanted to use it as a weapon?
it
Right.
could
I thought about
be.
it too.
Yeah. I mean, we know governments of all places do that kind of stuff. You know.
Kind of a psyop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
it could be a
heard, I don't know
psyop.
if
Yeah.
it's true, that Brazil has had more UFO sightings than any other country. I don't know the exact numbers if that's correct or not, but that's what I've heard.
Mm.
Recently, yeah, that's accurate. Um,
Well, it's interesting because the phenomenon in South America, you know, I was born in Bogota, Colombia. So I'm also following very close what is going on in South and Central America. So what we're seeing is a difference, for example, between Brazil and Colombia. In Brazil, we are seeing these orbs kind of following and attacking people. But in Colombia, we are seeing the spheres, and it happens all the time. Like it's not
Right.
only the Boga sphere, there was the other one, but you have all the time videos about spheres in Colombia. So why their spheres and their orbs, and the phenomenon is so amazing because
Well, I
the most I research, I feel I understand the less. A lot is
Hey,
going on.
Sarah.
yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it's interesting too that it was so well documented. I mean, there's actual pictures, people drew things, right? And you would think that we would know more about it, but like all of these kind of incidences, the government was like, "Oh, top secret now," and it makes you wonder. It does. I mean, did they figure things out, or are they just don't know what to do, so they just say those kind of things too, right? Saying is maybe it wasn't a government thing, maybe it was actual, you know, other life forms doing this, right? It's all just always so interesting that there's never any answers, even when things are really well documented.
Well, I got to say one thing. After 4 months of investigating, the military investigating the events, they were issued an order to stop investigating. I would like to
Right.
know who initiated that order and why. The other thing is um, the people that were injured, the records, their medical records, have actually gone missing.
Hmm.
You can't get a hold of them. I've tried. I've been looking for their medical records because there was a nurse that took supposedly detailed medical records of all the people who got injured and had blood sucked out. Where are they? We don't know where they are. In regards to the 15 hours of filmed footage of the crafts that appeared over Colares and surrounding cities like Belém and others, right?
Right.
Right.
Where did that go? Why
Right.
Yeah.
is that still classified? Why doesn't the people like us and everybody else have that knowledge? Um,
Yeah.
if they're going to harm people, whatever their intent, defensive reasons, offensive reasons, I think that we should be made to know the truth. Oh, and I will show you something here. Let's see here. Is this it? Nope. This is it. The message is clear. Policymakers must consider the health impacts of UAP on citizens alongside national security and safety of flight concerns. Anyone,
Um.
You
jump
know,
in.
they're saying that they, keep this stuff secret for our protection, but by keeping it secret, they're putting us more at risk.
Exactly.
That's how I feel too. The thing is like, we have emergency drills for everything, whether they're super effective or not. Why don't we have any type of something for what I think is an inevitability that they will be here, whoever they are and whatever, for good or bad, whatever, but they will be here, right? And we have no plans in motion for these things, right? Like, there's no like, hey, in case any of these weird things happen, do these kind of things to help keep yourself safe. I mean, we can
Right.
stand in a doorway for earthquakes, but I don't think that's going to stop a UFO. So is that their thing? Is like there is no hope, so don't talk about it, and then when it happens, oh well. Like I don't think that's a good. I don't think that's good. I think we should know.
See, who was it? Nolan, the scientist Gary Nolan, came out and said that UFOs that landed at military bases when soldiers were ordered to approach the craft and they got too close. A lot of them died on the spot because they got brain hemorrhaging from the electromagnetic propulsion systems used by the craft.
Yep.
So perhaps they're keeping it quiet. So if these craft come close to farmhouses, regular houses, in somebody's backyard and they get harmed, they're not liable.
Well, I mean,
Right. Well, the
yeah, but
problem
all
with keeping it secret is that it creates more confusion, and not only confusion, but fear. And that
Yes,
fear is a problem because when we don't know why this is happening, you know, and we feel that, because we are not crazy, the people in Colares were burned and they saw what happened there. So the problem is that it creates confusion, and it creates this place where people need to find a logical answer for whatever happened there. And so they go to find that answer maybe on their religious beliefs, you know, because they don't find another explainable, otherworldly answer to explain these. So a religious belief will be more logical, and that's why these things are called demons, because they are attacking people, right?
right. Well,
So
well,
the
I mean,
Greys look a lot like what is portrayed as a demon.
well, the other thing is that we have humans, we need sometimes to see things differently. Maybe someone saw it was a gray, but he saw a demon, because
Right,
we also see with our brains based also on our beliefs.
right,
We were raised with those beliefs very deep inside ourselves, especially if we were religious families. So
right.
right.
probably what a gray or a reptilian or a mantis will be seen and described as a demon, right?
Yeah, well, and another thing too is like people have different interpretations of what is a demon and that kind of stuff in general. But you know, oh man, sorry, I lost my train of thought again. Ah, anyways, but yeah, but like we were saying though about like I don't think it's uh appropriate to call them that, because I mean people attack people, we don't call them demons, right? It's just because somebody was attacked doesn't mean it was a demon. It could have been government, it could have been another government, or it could have been aliens of a sort, or interdimensional beings, or really anything. So
Right.
and I don't think it's right to label something like that and bring into religious connotations into a thing that has no real proof of anything, right? And everybody's
Exactly.
religious beliefs are different, which is
Yeah,
fine.
that
It's just
that's
that
why that's why
it's not.
I don't agree
Um,
with Vice President Vance's statement unless he is based on actual evidence and
Right.
fact.
Chain
He
of
is just
data.
Exactly. He would be based only in his religious beliefs, and that's something we really need to be very careful here,
Right,
because
yeah,
maybe
exactly.
we are not talking about the same phenomenon.
Although a
right,
lady we interviewed a few weeks back, Karen Holden, suggested that some of these beings are spiritual in nature in the sense of energy, and that they reside in a different dimension, and that they travel here. And when they travel here, they have to take a physical form or enter a vehicle of such to exist here. So they're actually energy beings within a body so that they can exist within our dimension.
right.
So perhaps what he's in reference to is something like that. I think that it is his narrative concerning his faith. Yes. Do I agree that
Mm,
all aliens are demonic? No.
no.
I believe there's a duality everywhere. So, in the human way of thinking, a duality would indicate good and evil. But what I think is, what if alien life forms are indifferent rather than evil? Meaning they don't have a feeling about us either way because they're so far
Well,
advanced that they don't look at us in
well,
the
and it's
same
not
way we look at
only,
them.
yeah, I totally agree. And it's not only that they are more advanced. I think, even if we think about our species on Earth, okay, and I give this example every time, you cannot ask from a shark to be as empath as a dog
Right? You
because
can't.
it's not its nature. The
Right.
dog is made to behave as a shark. He will kill as a shark, and
Right.
he won't be, moving his like we. So maybe it's not a matter of demons and bad species or not benevolent. It's just a matter of their nature. And for us it's difficult as human beings, even having our own experience, aliens experiences. Sometimes they are not nice experiences because we feel our empathy was broken, because
Right.
we feel very much, we love differently. So
Right.
Right. But like, yeah, like,
Um,
how like we don't think of ants as particularly wonderful creatures, right? I mean, that could be the same said about us. They don't see us as really intelligent, like just pets. I could see that like that.
one thing I'm going to say is I have a friend that's in Chad. His name is Vern Vision. And he had an encounter out in the desert where he actually witnessed what appeared to be a portal. And inside that portal were two dimensional, what looked like every size of flying disc that you could imagine. And they were flying all over the place, hundreds of thousands of them. He saw one pop out of the portal into our dimension and materialize as a physical craft. And then it acted like it didn't know where it was and it popped back through the portal into the other dimension, and the portal shrunk down to a small light and blinked out. Now, if that's the case, then what I'm saying about beings coming from other dimensions and changing into something else in our dimension, that's possible. The one thing I have to reiterate, and I've said this over and over again, non human intelligences do not think the human way.
right.
They don't
Right.
have our narrative that we have running around in our mind. They do
Yeah.
not. They are thinking their way. They are thinking how the universe is to them, what they need to accomplish. If what they need to accomplish is something scientific, they're going to go about it. Now, the way we see it is abductions, body marks,
Mm.
um, damage to the skin, like in Colares, sucking of the blood in Colares. They could have been taking samples, like Polly said, like Sarah said, like Jeremy said. What I'm saying is, I agree with all that, but I think they had different intentions than what we as humans can comprehend. Jeremy?
Yeah, I think we really tend to want to rationalize things that we'll never be able to rationalize because it's on a completely different level than where we could ever go.
Right. Sarah?
I
Well,
yeah,
go ahead,
sorry.
Polly. No, go ahead.
I was thinking about the what Jeremy said before, if this whatever happened in Colares maybe came from the government, which is also very possible, you know. Um, and um, it's a problem because not only that it generates more confusion, because instead of coming with the truth and telling us, okay, listen, this is what happened, this is what we're dealing with, so we as humankind, this is what we need to do. People don't know what is going on. They are having many theories. And the government, by hiding this information, even the evidence that they have that happened there, well, they are causing more fear. And that fear, it's a problem because even if we have these kind of cases where people are attacked, we don't want the phenomenon to be taken as an invasion, alien invasion, and we are
Right.
going all to be hurt. So that's why statements as Mr. Vance should be taken
Lightly.
Grain of
very
salt.
careful and seriously. You cannot make that kind of statement just like that
Like an umbrella
unless you
statement,
have
right?
Yeah.
a
Um,
proof, you
I
know?
have I have to say this that um, a lot of people in the UFO community and outside the UFO community think all alien life is benevolent.
I don't believe that for a
I
minute.
tend to disagree on that because I don't think it's benevolence that's involved. I think that there's indifference and there is intent. So either they're intending to do something or they don't really care. Because have they ever interfered in our wars and stopped them? No. Have they ever helped us with our environment? No. It's almost like in Star Trek, where they have what is it, Sarah? The
Um.
Prime Directive,
Ah.
where they're told not to interfere but to observe. I almost get the impression that that's being done here, except in some cases where some alien groups are actually interfering through
Yeah.
abductions and through experimentation and through hybrid programs and through um, like the Colares event. I would like to know what everybody on the panel thinks.
Well, I tend to agree with you on that. I mean, I think one of the reasons why the governments don't say anything either is because they may have secret allegiances with groups, and as we all know that if one of our biggest problems is our greed and always wanting to weaponize everything, right? So that could be a big turnoff onto people or aliens who are you know more say gentle or care for us or something, right? And knowing our nature, they know that we will destroy ourselves and maybe others, right? And
Right,
they we're probably not ready to know things, but also keeping it secret, how are we ever to get ready to know things, right?
right,
I don't know. I don't think. I just don't think that saying that it's top secret that really happened. You saw just swamp gas is not helpful at all.
right. I have to say this. Bizarre new Pentagon report claims UFO left people with radiation burns and brain damage. That's what came out from Gary Nolan. Also, I want you to hear this. Categorized 87 types of reported physiological effects from alleged UAP encounters, including paralysis, electrical shocks, feelings of heat, burns, perceptions of odor, nosebleeds, and perceived time loss. Also, individuals after alleged UAP encounters experienced autoimmune disorders, neurological disturbances, and flu like symptoms. Also, they reported health effects such as burns, nausea, dizziness, eye inflammation, vomiting, headaches, diarrhea, weakness, hair loss, recurrent symptoms, and cancer. Now, what I'm going to say about that is all of that could just be a side effect of an encounter,
Right.
unintentional. But we
Right.
look at it as intentional because we look at it as an attack.
I
Well,
think
yeah.
most times they're more curious than anything about us, and that's why they do some of these experiments.
Well, we're kind of like how we do experiments on animals in the wild.
Exactly.
I think they're doing the same thing to us. And implants are tags
Yep.
Of a sort, yeah. For
of a
for
sort.
whatever
Yeah,
reason, yeah, for whatever reason, to
right.
for whatever experiment they did on you, or whatever. But I don't think it's to track because, like I said,
I don't
they
think
have the
it's a track.
technology. They can find you anywhere and do a thing. I mean, the whole Brazilian thing could just prove that you're all vulnerable. We're all vulnerable.
Well,
Won't take much.
it's not to track you either. I agree with you, Sarah. It's not to track you because they found you in the first place without a tag.
Mm,
So they know where you are.
exactly.
Yeah, I think it's more kind of a way to know, like, from what family you come from,
That could make
like
sense. Yeah.
all the ones that have a, I don't know, like a cube implant like me are related to X family, or with
Right.
some characteristics, like it's more like a catalog for them somehow, other than our health and our GPS and whatever. But
Right.
I think they use it more as a, yeah, like a catalog of families or something.
Yeah,
Right.
studying their DNA.
So
Yeah.
that's why I think that the collection of blood in Colares from animals as well as humans, I think the deaths of the animals were unintentional because they were smaller in size and they took far too much blood.
Well, that,
Um,
and I don't think animals can process what is happening like we can, and we have trouble doing it. People were catatonic, right? But I
right.
mean, imagine an animal not knowing. I mean, I've seen animals freak out, and you're just like, "Whoa!" Right?
Yeah. I've seen sheep fall over dead just being scared by a loud sound. So
Right.
all I know is animals react differently. So yeah, that's the case. What I was going to say was that human beings were being cataloged, like what Polly said, by samples that were taken to these craft. What were they using it for? We're assuming that possibly they were taken to catalog us, but it could have been
Or not,
used for many other different reasons. Who
well, yeah. I
knows?
mean, it could have been too that maybe their ships are not just tech. Maybe they're biological entities of a sort too that need blood or something to, as if it was a fluid in their bodies or something. Maybe like their main ship was injured or something, right? I mean, that could be a thing too. Why not?
Yeah, I've heard
Right.
It
about
could be
that.
used for food because one of the
Mm-hmm.
people in ufology, I think it was George Knapp, was talking. No, it was John Lear. John Lear was talking about how the Greys feed. And since their mouth is a vestigial slit and it is not able to
Functional.
process food, it's just a cavity with no throat, no nothing.
It's
Okay?
like a throwback of their previous
Right,
how they used to look.
right. They spread a mixture of things on their skin, and their skin absorbs it through the pores. And then when they excrete waste through the pores. So that's
Right.
why a lot of people who have abductions with grays smell a very strong foul odor. It's because of their digestive process. Now,
Well,
I've
now that
heard,
sorry, yeah, go
sorry,
ahead, go
I
ahead.
was just going to add that I've heard that there are tanks in some of the underground bases that are filled with human body parts and blood that is being made into a sludge or a slurry that is used to smear on the skin.
which
So it
wouldn't
could be
surprise me.
used for food.
Wouldn't surprise me because so many people go missing and nobody ever finds them.
Yeah.
So
But now that you mentioned the smell, we've heard about the smell in different cases, including the Virginia case in Brazil, where there was
Right.
the how do you call it in English?
Ammonia.
Yes, in Colares, the people that were burned by this whatever laser that was, well, they smelled something very strong too after being burned. And the doctors in the hospital felt that smell too. There was a very strong smell coming out from the wounds, which is also very interesting.
Right. So maybe it was a way they were feeding. Who knows? We don't
Yeah,
know. It's just a proposition. We don't know.
yeah, well,
oh yeah.
yeah.
See, I also
And
another thing.
The ships,
I'm sorry. No, I
I say,
just remembered that there was another, because there was another case in the same area where actually there was a tic tac seen hovering on over the sea, kind of interacting with something inside the sea next to that military base in Colares. So
right.
again, it brings me to think, that there is something going on there underwater, that they are interacting with it, and for some reason, the military is also there, and I don't know if they are kind of working together or if the military has its goals and the aliens have them goals and they are not matching, but something really serious happened there in
Well,
Colares.
according to what I read, um, the Chupa Chupa actually came, some of them came from under the sea to the Colares Island. So they were under the ocean and rose up out of the water and then hovered and then came over the island. There were some that just came from a different direction. No one knows where they were coming from, but they appeared over the island. I do know they were
Interesting.
also called something other than the Chupa Chupa in Uruguay. They were called the vampire craft.
Hmm.
I saw that in a news report because they sucked blood. And that's why the flap area that I put up earlier, let's see if I can find it, shows that there was a large area covered. It wasn't just Colares, it was Sao Luis, it was Belém, and other cities as well. 400 kilometers or 400 miles of area was covered in these attacks.
yeah.
Interesting. Now you're making me wonder if Dracula wasn't an alien too.
That's funny.
Right? Maybe
I
he
think
was a
I think
gray or something.
the original Dracula was a Romanian dictator,
Right.
but he wasn't a vampire.
I know.
But that's funny. Yeah, I mean, see, I think, oh, you know what? I already said that. Never mind. I'm sorry. But the other thing is the I think we as a species here, even for those people who don't believe in aliens and stuff, and think that we are the only intelligent life ever, I think are misinformed and kind of ignorant because think about all the life that is on this planet. Some we just find out recently, like in some place we found a new spider that we'd never seen before, and I was just like, wow, look at that, that's creepy. And then you got people out there going, no, no, we're just the only intelligent life. Well, what do we consider intelligence then? Because there's plenty of animals here that show intelligence too, and I think it's very arrogant to assume that there aren't other beings and creatures out there. Maybe the way we see them is different because we can only perceive so much, right? But
Right,
I think that even if you don't believe, I think you should consider the possibility that what if and what would you do, and what can you do?
right. There's
That,
a lot of creatures within the ocean that we don't know about.
hmm
Sarah and I watched a video about a week ago about some divers that went down in a sub to the bottom of this trench, and it wasn't the Marianas Trench, it was a different one that was deeper. And they came across something that shouldn't exist. It was so big and it had a huge mouth on the front of it. Um, and they were so afraid that they backed off because the being actually had blue and green bioluminescence. So it was rippling across the surface of this object like it was trying to communicate. So they took video footage and went back up to the top, hoping it wouldn't follow them. But it did. So when they got up to the surface, it was halfway above the water looking at them through one big eye. This was a expedition done by NOAA, National Oceanic. Um, I don't know what the A's are for, but anyways, um, the NOAA. So it was an official mission. Um, so talking about beings that exist on our planet that we don't even know about, that people could misinterpret as non-human intelligences. Well, what does non-human intelligence break down to? It breaks down to they're not human. So that could include animals, fish,
exactly.
mammals in the
Yeah,
ocean.
but I have a hard time with that term because when I hear the non-human intelligence, kind of make me feel that because it's not human intelligence is less
Right, I understand what you're
like,
saying.
and like on the contrary, they are far more evolved and intelligent than we are, like it's like when you call, like, I don't know, just a dog, like a non-human intelligence. I don't like the term. It feels for me kind of, we are
Derogatory.
the kings, like we are the top of the chain, and we are
Well,
not nothing, we
we're
are just
we're only using it here as separation terms, because like whales, they are super intelligent. Dolphins are super intelligent, right? And then you have other animals that just fly into the wall, right? I mean, I don't know. But it's just for these purposes that we say those things, because in reality, I believe anything that is sentient is intelligent. I believe plants are intelligent. um I don't see why they wouldn't be. So that's how I see it anyways.
Plants
This
create
species,
music.
and they scream when you cut them. So, like the smell of cut grass, right? I mean, what are you smelling? You're smelling the plant's, you know, life force, the blood of the plant or whatever, right?
Yep.
So, everything that is alive, in my opinion, is intelligent. Whether their intelligence can write a sentence or they can spin a web that is stronger than Kevlar. You know what I mean? Like, intelligence is intelligence.
Right. So the aliens that we're referring to, I don't like to call aliens because they're not necessarily alien in nature. They may
We
be
need to
from,
find a new nice term to
yeah.
call them, like not
Space
the
people.
non-human intelligence, but not the aliens. We need
How about,
something.
how about, I can't do that either. How about unknown intelligences, UIs?
Well, that sounds
Because
like
we don't know where they're from. We don't know what they look like. We don't know their intelligence level. So it's unknown intelligences.
well, regardless, intelligence is intelligence. But the thing of it is like I said, I think that one of our biggest problems as a humans is that we are unwilling to accept the possibility of the thing that we can't see and prove. You know, and I think that's a mistake, because you can never ever be ready for anything if you stick your head in the sand and just go, it's not real, it's not there. When there's so many proven, documented incidences that people saw publicly, like there's really no excuse for not believing that we're not alone anymore. Like, there's really not. But then you got people out there believing that the Earth is still flat. So I don't know what to tell you. Ugh.
And it's like even when it's presented like square in the face, they still don't want to believe it because it's something they can't control. It's something they fear.
Right.
Like
Right.
you look at the Phoenix Lights incident. Look how many people witnessed that, including government officials, and then they all try to make a joke
Denied
of
it.
it.
They
Yeah,
tried
they're
to
like,
deny
nah.
it. Yep.
It was interesting
Yep.
too. I remember seeing all
Right.
that when I was a kid, on the news, and I was thinking, "Wow, that's crazy. We really got these out here," and that's when I really started becoming more interested in the real world phenomenon of UFOs and stuff. Was when that happened, and I was just, blown away that this day, all the cool news reports I remember seeing, I can't find anymore. I don't know what happened to them. They're
I
just
have to
not
tell
there.
you, the Phoenix Lights, March 13th, 1997, occurred on my birthday. So, what is the synchronicity between UFO Man and the Phoenix Lights? I mean, come on. Okay. Um, we have a comment in the chat. Shelly Montgomery says, Polly, I'm having issues with something I saw.
Hmm.
Yeah, I hear you, Shelly. You want to share with us? I'm here to hear what's going on.
Shelly, if you want to share it, I'll put it up on screen.
Ah, she said I would
Okay.
disappear. I can't.
Oh,
You
she
All right.
can't.
can.
Okay. So
Well,
maybe
it's
Polly can
okay.
send
If,
you.
if you rather send me a private message and we can talk about it, no problem. Just feel free to message. Okay, I'm
Yeah, do
here
that.
for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Um,
Hmm.
well, let's take last comments from everybody about Colares. Polly.
Oh my God, this was a great show. I love it. I love that we had the opportunity to talk about this incident. It's a very strange and special one, and kind of we need to keep following this phenomenon in Brazil because, as we said before, it's still happening. They are still being followed or attacked by these orbs. So yeah, we need to keep seeing what's going on.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting that we haven't heard more about this story. I mean, yeah, it's been on some shows and things, but it's not as widely known as you would think. But then you got to ask, is that intentionally done that way? Is it kept quiet?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of think it is. Like I said, the soldiers were told to stop investigating after 4 months. Why were they told to
Right.
stop?
And I mean, there's tons of photography and video and all this stuff, and nobody's hardly showing it.
Yeah, I've never seen any footage yet of the
I would
actual crafts.
I would
Right.
ask that anybody who's knows anybody that's in Brazil or anybody who's watching for Brazil, if you have footage from back then, reach out to us and we'll get it out there because otherwise, like I said, I mean the stuff from the Phoenix Lights. I mean that happened in my lifetime. I saw it on TV and stuff, right? And now there was like this really good news report, and I can't find it. It talked in depth about what everybody saw and everything. It really intrigued me as a kid. Where is it? So anybody who's got
Well,
these kind of footages, reach out. Let's get them out there.
it makes you
Yeah,
wonder.
and if you really want to find more information about it and look, real, like actual footage and everything, interviews, go to Netflix and look for the George Knapp series there about the Colares incident. Super interesting, really.
Um, what I'm going to say last is the Colares incident, in my opinion, is it's partially out there. It's the old testimonies, the old videos from way back. But new stuff about it really hasn't flourished, like Jeremy said. What with all the scientists and the UFO researchers and the UFO whistleblowers who have shown up dead or missing lately,
Oh yeah.
I kind of think there's some major suppression going on of disclosure and the information that we're trying to present here on UFO Man Reloaded. So if you enjoyed our live stream tonight, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe. We need all the subscribers that we can get due to the fact that I am restarting my channel as UFO Man Reloaded. And um, I need to get some more subscribers so we can get the information out there.
Looking for proof
Yeah.
that we're not alone? Welcome to UFO Man Reloaded, your one stop for all your UFO needs. Hit subscribe and join the mission.
That was made by Sarah. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome. Miss Sora, R.I.P. Sora. But
Okay.
yeah, you know, I just want to say that I appreciate being on this panel, and I had a great time with the four of you. I hope everybody else was able to learn something too, and and people who don't believe can just maybe try thinking outside the box and recognizing that just because you can't prove a thing doesn't mean it's not real and it's not there.
Right.
So that's what I would say.
And the footage
Right.
from 1977 would be pre AI. So it would be really important to see that footage. So I hope we can get some footage for you in the future. If we do, we will present it here on UFO Man Reloaded. Thank you, Jeremy, for coming this evening as our guest
Thanks for having
panelist.
me.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Polly, and thank you, Sarah. Thanks to everybody who participated online, and thank you to everyone who participated in chat.
Pinnacle of Earth, do not fear us. We are only here to help you ascend to a higher frequency. When you do, you will become one with our intergalactic community.
Travelers of Earth, elevate your feed. For sightings, secrets, and the truth beyond the stars, follow UFO Man. Smash that like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell to join the flight.